Welcome to today's episode, dear listeners. Today we're delving into the significant but often shadowy world of industrial espionage and how it shaped economic policy in the United States with the enactment of the Economic Espionage Act of 1996. Back in the day, America faced an increasing challenge, one posed not by armies, but by forces funneling information. You see, with the end of the Cold War, the battlefield had shifted. No longer was it just about military might or ideological contest. Now it was also about wealth, about secrets, businesses, ideas, right? Just imagine, for decades, the theft of trade secrets went on without a criminal framework to properly address it at a national level. The passage of the Economic Espionage Act marked a pivotal moment in U.S. history. It criminalized activities that once skirted the boundaries of civil law. The law was crafted to combat the burgeoning threat of ideas and innovations being siphoned off to those who'd intentionally profit at the behest of others. Before the Act, the diverse laws across various states made it difficult to pursue such matters efficiently, with consistent repercussions across state lines. Now, with a robust federal tool in place, the government could better tackle the theft or misappropriation of trade secrets. This was crucial precisely because the United States, it was a prime target, given the depth of its technological advancements during that era. The Act serves two masters' wishes. First and foremost, it targets foreign entities unlawfully attempting to bolster their futures by nibbling at the edges of America's intellectual bounty. The foreign economic espionage piece intended for those aligning with foreign governments, ensuring stringent actions against such midnight thefts of ingenuity. But it's not just about foreign threats. Section 1832 of the Act deals with homegrown threats too, where individuals or corporations unlawfully benefit domestically. So why did it take so long? Maybe it was the focus on the Cold War, the idea that national security aligned solely with classified and defense-centric data. But economic security, my friend, was swiftly recognized as equally vital. The emergence of this act, the transition from state to federal oversight, meant there was new strength in preserving competitive advantages, right from patents to proprietary software. Anything that a company leveraged as part of its identity and business process was suddenly shielded. And then remember how it was all tied globally. Companies couldn't just sit back and rest idly on past merit. The push to include civil actions later on only emphasized the comprehensive picture we see now. With the subsequent Defend Trade Secrets Act, companies gained additional teeth to litigate, but we'll touch on that a bit further down the line. Until then, sinking into the rich narrative of how these laws bled into the fabric of our modern economy paints an extraordinary picture of adaptation, protection, and progress.
So, John, let's pull back the curtain on corporate espionage tactics. What sneaky ways are these guys using these days?
Eden, it's fascinating, really. Corporate espionage tactics, they range from the high-tech to the downright banal. Many think of it as hackers in hoodies, typing feverishly in the dark. While that happens, the reality is often much more personal and, shall we say, traditional.
Traditional? You mean like the old-school spy stuff?
Exactly. We're talking about social engineering, classic manipulation, where individuals are swayed into divulging confidential information. It could be as simple as charming a receptionist or tailing someone to secure access to restricted areas. People often let their guard down when faced with someone personable and seemingly non-threatening.
That's so wild, and really makes you think about who you can trust. But what about tech? You know, all the gadgets and gizmos?
Oh, absolutely. Technology plays a significant role. Now, cyber espionage is a huge field. It uses malware or phishing to infiltrate computer networks. It's often mass-produced, spraying and praying, if you will, until they hit the jackpot. But let's not forget the insider threats. That's sometimes even trickier. Employees, disgruntled or just opportunistic, trying to walk out with vital information.
Right, like Gerald and Heather in accounting snooping around. Who'd have thought? It's not just cloak and dagger. It could be anyone, right?
Precisely, which is why awareness is crucial. Educating employees, having robust policies, and a keen eye on unusual activities often curtailed such threats. Companies can't afford to assume that it's someone else's problem.
For sure. So it sounds like a mix of tech smarts and people skills. But what about, I don't know, corporate events or trade shows? Those seem like easy targets, huh?
Spot on, Eden. Trade shows and conferences, my dear. They're fertile grounds for gleaning intelligence. Public networking spaces often see competitors probing for product details, design concepts, or even employee information. It's networking, yes, but with a double-edged sword.
You know, it's kind of scary. Yet so intriguing how the simplest tactics are the most effective. Corporate espionage isn't just about stealing things, it's about gaining an edge in a cutthroat market.
Quite right. It's more about undermining competitors than the traditional theft we'd imagine. The aim could be financial gain or even to tarnish a company's reputation. Once you understand the goals, you see why vigilance is necessary.
Absolutely, John. There's so much more than meets the eye, and staying informed is half the battle.
Turning our attention now to the intricate web of Chinese espionage, in many ways China has done more than just participate in the global exchange of data and ideas. They've sought to harness it entirely in alignment with their overarching strategic goals. Since the start of the century, it's been like an unrelenting tidal wave of espionage, amplified by technological advancements, stemming from Beijing's corridors to every corner of the globe. The frequency and variety of methods employed, from cyber intrusions to blatant acts of industrial espionage, underline a sustained commitment to absorbing competitor secrets. And what's so revealing is how deeply this aligns with national objectives under Xi's regime, essentially reshaping espionage to serve both military and commercial prerogatives.
It's kind of mind-boggling. Think about it this way. For a lot of us, espionage conjures up those Jason Bourne-esque spies leaping off bridges. But for countries like China, it's about penetrating networks, whether it be a company or a nation. Sure, the hacky stuff makes headlines, but the reality is often a calculated campaign that stretches over years. We're looking at a game of, several layers here, where individual cases feed into national ambitions.
Exactly. These aren't mere opportunistic pranks. The survey data reflects a consistency in targeting sectors that will sustain their growth and competitiveness, sectors crucial to the expansive Belt and Road Initiative or strategic technologies. As many as 49% of espionage incidents have involved state-backed actors leveraging the very vulnerabilities inherent in open societies. You see, they aim to access the core designs and innovations that define industries, ranging from telecommunications and pharmaceuticals to aerospace. It's this systematic approach that really alarms global security analysts.
And John, when we talk about Chinese nationals involved in espionage, it's not to say every individual is a covert agent, but it sure puts a spotlight on how, foreign policies exploit open systems, right? The true jaw-dropper is how these efforts aren't always just about data slashing. They're about laying groundwork. Think of the infiltration at places like NASA or even commercial giants like Coca-Cola, not just as data heists, but as tactically delivers economic and diplomatic leverage.
Precisely, Eden. It's multi-layered. In each encountered incident, there's a deliberate intent not just to capture, but to erode the competitive edge and tilt the playing field. We see data breach, intellectual property theft, influence operations, all dressed under the fabric of global competitiveness. In navigating this intricate landscape, countries find themselves vulnerable, having to reassess their security paradigms. As a result, there's this prominent push for tighter cybersecurity and stricter controls on foreign investments in sensitive sectors, balancing openness with indispensable caution.
What it boils down to is a constant tug of war, doesn't it? the path to safeguarding data doesn't lie solely in digital fortresses. It's also people, processes, mindsets. There's trust to be built, infrastructure to secure, and always staying a step ahead. Can we see where the
Mhm.
pieces are shifting on the global chessboard? Absolutely. But turning that knowledge into a secure advantage, that's the real kicker.